Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of Flesh Wound Farce, where we review and discuss your and our favorite comedy films. This is the world's first and only combination trivia host and professional wrestling announcer of Chilean descent that currently resides in Southern California, Ozzy V. And with me, as always, on this program, first world famous juggler Greg Larson. How you doing, Greg?
You know, it's been a little bit of a rough week, to be honest, with why we're here for this episode. But outside of that, got my new Super Nintendo hockey jersey. So pretty happy about that. It was a nice turnaround. But how are you doing, Ozzy?
Well, all things considered, I'm doing well. Also with us, ladies and gentlemen, is Flesh Wound producer Todd, who is usually chilling 90% of the time. I don't imagine this would be any different.
Good evening.
There you go. Now, last week we did mention that we'd be reviewing Naked Gun. However, considering the circumstances of actor, comedian Norm McDonald passing away on September 14th, felt it appropriate to review his first film, Dirty Work, released on June 12th, 1998. Now, I would ideally maybe want to package this with like a Screwed double review feature. However, Screwed was the first movie we reviewed back when this program was KFWF radio, because I love that movie so much. And if you want to hear about the Screwed thoughts, that episode's still available via YouTube. Sorry?
We'll have the link in the description.
There you go. So for a Screwed review, the link will be in the description. But back to this week's, as mentioned, released June 12th, 1998, with a runtime of 1 hour and 22 minutes, directed by Bob Saget, written by Norm McDonald, Frank Sebastiano, and Fred Wolf. Todd, if you'd please do the honors and air the trailer.
You're fired.
For anyone who's ever been wronged.
What are you doing?
I'm through with you.
Look like a bucket of lard on a bad day.
Don't get mad.
Is some jerk making your life miserable?
Call the guys
Hello? Dirty Work.
who'll help you get even.
Okay, settle down, prostitutes. This requires no sex. Well, you got a dead hooker in the trunk. I've never seen so many dead hookers in all my life.
No job is too dirty.
Look away.
Your wand is magical, Harry.
No duty is too low. The critics agree Dirty Work is crude,
Hey, I think he's got his thumb up that dog.
vulgar,
Shut your cake hole, Yoko!
raunchy,
You ever had a chick with a beard before?
tasteless.
Hey, movie line.
How's that looking, Manny? He was supposed to keep driving.
We hide these fish all over the house, and they'll stink for days.
Norm McDonald,
Smells like fish in here.
Is that some sort of signal? You wearing a wire?
No, it really does smell like fish in here.
Show these guys what we do to cops. Say hello to the devil for me.
Dirty Work.
That was the trailer to Dirty Work. I'm just going to quickly jump ahead. Minor spoiler. I felt it unfortunate in the trailer gives away my favorite moment with the fish all over the house, them holding the fish and everything happening in the background. The trailer, you saw maybe 5 seconds of it, but in the movie, it's a much longer scene. Highly recommended. But just quick, some initial thoughts. I was a huge fan of Norm when he took over Weekend Update. So when this movie came out, I was still at that point when I couldn't see it in the theater. Like I couldn't get my brother to take me or obviously my dad take me or whatever. But I did end up seeing it later, whatnot. And I was so pleased to see a star from Saturday Night Live and a star from Mad TV co-star in a movie. Artie Lange on Mad TV. So that's kind of something that when I initially saw it, it was kind of trippy for me. It was like the best of both worlds. Artie Lange was on Mad TV.
I don't remember.
Was I Mandela?
No.
How about some initial thoughts, Todd, and I'll verify.
No, I just did. I just don't remember him on it. I was more SNL because like I love Norm and like the crew there. I did eventually watch a little of it, but some of the stuff I just thought was we won't talk about that one. Yeah. This is one I went immediately when it came out because same reasons you wanted to see it. funny. The one thing, initial thought wise, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I remember initially noticing it too. Do you guys notice all the loop dialogue?
Loop dialogue. Can you define that?
Dialogue that was changed, or in a lot of cases softened for the rating. Like especially the prison scene. There's so much looping going on in that.
Oh, I see.
Because he basically exactly says what happened.
Right.
So if you watch him, and I've always wanted to see what this uncut would look like before, because it's still pretty out there. I mean, even cut down.
Yes, indeed. Greg, how about your initial thoughts?
So, I haven't seen this movie in a long while, so I was really excited to see it again. That being said, I didn't watch the trailer before this. And when you ran it, there was something in there that seemed off and different.
I think I know where we're going to.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a prank that says the movie theater, it says Harry Peter. And that's what I was just looking up. And the movie was supposed to be Harry Peter, a porno flick. And in the movie, it's men in black who like to have sex with each other. So, yeah, that was fun. Like I wonder why that got changed, but either way, it was brilliant. But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun going back and watching this flick, and just shows how great of delivery this guy has always had.
So going back to that year of 1998 when this was being advertised, you had all the commercials come out. I remember a specific clip with him using the recorder after being thrown out of City Hall, right? And then in the actual movie, or not City Hall, but out of Travis Cole's building, right? And in the movie itself, he gets thrown out, and then you just see him getting up and putting the recorder back in his pocket. And later, when he realized that he left the recorder on, is because he had made a note after he got thrown out for whatever reason, got edited out of the final cut of the movie.
Continuity? Because why would he hit record again if it was already recording? He should have known right then if he did another recording.
But I think the wording of "I left the recorder on" just kind of hit me as weird. As like, well, you were thrown out. More should have been like, oh, the recorder got turned on after I got thrown out. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think was the goal of at least this DVD cut.
Snyder cut. Come on.
Yeah, right? So I mentioned my favorite moment being the gag with the fish, and then the war zone that practically erupts because of the fish prank. Probably made me laugh the hardest in this entire film. How about you, Greg?
So there was I don't know if you guys saw the tribute Seth Meyers did to Norm recently, but he said one of the sad parts about Norm not being around right now is that Norm is the only guy who can make a joke about Norm being dead and it would be funny. And I really think watching this movie was great because he did. There was a bearded lady who she said, well, you've not truly lived until you've been with the bearded lady. And he takes out the recorder and goes, note to self, I don't want to live. And it was just such a cathartic, great moment. I just thought it was perfect for everything going on.
Todd.
There's so much in this. I have like so many different notes. One thing that's not a favorite bit, but it kind of is futuristically. It's like Chris Farley channeling future Artie Lange with the nose, but we'll go. No,
I'm not familiar.
Oh, Artie Lange's nose is like missing from all the coke he did. Like the front of it looks exactly the same.
That's kind of funny. Well, I mean,
if you knew it going in, it is.
There you go.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. The part when when he realizes that they're brothers and they're talking about the sister, and and remember that time you had sex with her? So it was just that whole little run Yeah.
Okay, so normally, I mean, he adds a lot to the movie. Norm does. I mean, and you also have performances from Jack Warden and Chevy Chase. Don Rickles is in it a little bit, but
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler has a very small part. Christopher McDonald plays Travis Cole, the villain, the story, but ultimately nobody else could have made this movie work other than him, right? Anybody else as the role of Mitch just wouldn't have hit. I mean, the line when Pops, we got some good news for you. Bring on the whore. Nope, it's not a whore. The way it sounds is just like, it's not a funny. I mean, yeah, it's a cheeky, funny line or whatever, but the way he says it just adds so much more. So nobody else would have been able to pull this off.
Everything with Jack Warden is gold too. All of their interactions.
Oh yeah. I do have to say, when that scene where he grabbed Norm's junk and he went falsetto for the next 2 scenes, I was just like, number one, that joke's not been done in a long time, so it brought me back and it was great. But Norm even nailed that.
It stayed with it and then just go back to normal, right? Like right after. Which was also great. Yeah. Todd?
All I know is I'm going to be in my regular, what's the word? Something I will say from now on. Jesus, I'm having a brain fart.
Yeah, you are. I'm sorry. I know I really smell. Plus, I farted like the homeless guys walking through.
All I know is I'd be better if you had brought me a whore. That's going to be.
So going into rating this though, its uniqueness gave it some bonus points because a revenge for hire business like that. The concept is funny, and I think elevates it to a point when the script seems kind of simple, but with the performance and its uniqueness, it kind of borders between a 3.5 and a 4 for me.
Yeah, it's this movie was one of those ones that, again, watching alone, I laughed out loud, which doesn't happen all too often. It was fun. I was entertained the whole time. I didn't feel like there were really slow parts. If I were a single man, I would totally pick up that thing about just calling out a girl's name that's not hers just to get it. God, that was genius. But yeah, I'm gonna give this a solid 4 and 4.5 just for the week that it is. So,
Todd.
All right. Well, I'm gonna be the one. Okay. Yeah. I 100% love this, and I 100% know it's a nostalgia thing because this is so 90s it hurts. I'm a 5. I love this movie. This used to be in heavy rotation. I actually watched this earlier in this year, so I had no complaints about retackling it.
All right. Well, I can't argue with you on that. I can definitely understand why. But now, normally this is when the episode would be over, but this week, considering the week it is, just having a generic or general Norm McDonald discussion where we're going to bring up some of his favorite moments, and we're actually going to play clips from YouTube that are regarding these moments. So I asked you guys what your guys were before we went on because I didn't want to pick a repeat moment. So I'll save mine for last. If you guys want to go first with yours.
All right. Greg, you want to go? Does yours need a setup?
No, not really. I just felt this was, there's plenty to pick some of his big ones, but I wanted to find a more obscure moment because I've been watching a lot of videos this past week, and this is one I'd never heard before, and I was just like, no one else could do this. So yeah.
All right.
You said you'd rather play Frogger than have sex.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to know Frogger, It's a game. It's an arcade game where a little frog has to go across the river.
Yeah.
And they have like little logs that he has to, and sometimes the log's a crocodile and tries to eat him.
You're like totally into that?
Yeah. Well, I like a lot of things better than sex. I don't care for sex that much.
See, that's the thing with me too, because I'm totally bored. I don't have any. What's the matter?
Yeah. It hasn't like gotten better over the centuries, you know? It's always the same thing. It's very like I had sex when I was young man, and then I had it for a while, and then I realized it's kind of always the same thing, you know? There's only a few things you can do. You can go like this and then over, you know what I mean? You go, I'll do this for a while and then...
Do you think that we're being drugged by the government to lose interest in sex?
Oh, no, I just think it's a thing that, like, you know, when people go, hey, you know, that guy's he's good in bed, you know? And to me, like, how hard is it, you know? It's not like if you're good in badminton or something, you know, that's a hard thing, badminton, and Frogger, you know? But sex, you can figure it out in like 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah, and like goats do it and stuff. You know, like goats and pigs and stuff all do it, so how special can it be?
Exactly. Show me a goat that can get past the 3rd level of Frogger.
That's right, Norm! That's right!
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
that last line.
You didn't have a year by chance where that interview is from, do you?
I don't.
No worries.
I'll look it up.
No worries at all. Todd?
All right, mine does need a bit of setup because it's just a little bit from a Saturday Night Live skit. Norm didn't do many skits. He was a weekend update guy. Very few skits. So this is my favorite, and I've referenced it before on the show. It's when Norm McDonald has a car accident and Sylvester Stallone comes to his rescue. So here we go.
It's great. Speaking of Stallone, before I jump into mine, anybody that's watching this right now has most definitely seen Weekend Update with Norm.
Right.
And I didn't want to just pick a Weekend Update clip that most of us have seen. And it's funny when you mentioned the Sylvester Stallone, because we all know the gag. You guessed it, Frank Stallone from Weekend Update, and his numerous OJ jokes that got him lack of a better term, fired from Weekend Update. So the clip I have prepared is from an interview that he had on November 16th in the year 2000 on The View. It was being recorded live. Actually, no, it was actually on live TV. It was being broadcast live, not just recorded live, broadcast live. And I read about this in an interview in Playboy magazine because I read it for the articles. So in the interview, he describes this moment that we're going to have, that, you know, you're going to see. And I'll explain the aftermath, what he said after this whole thing happened. So Todd, if you will.
I'm now going to ask the next question.
I thought it was a matter of record.
Shut up! Shut up! Look, let me do this, okay? I'll tell you what's a matter of record. You will not be invited back if you don't shut up. All right, now. Let's talk football.
All right, manslaughter.
Let's talk football.
Norm, did you ever hear the word?
The phone is ringing.
I certainly hope that's somebody calling to tell you to go home.
Oh, no.
Dude, you got a phone ringing.
Oh.
Answer the phone.
Hello? Oh, yeah. Oh, no. The thing is this. There, you know Matt Strauss?
Yeah, the producer.
The producer. He told me it would be funny. He said, like, why don't you carry a cell phone on and then let it ring and then pretend like there's a guy on it?
Is there anybody on it?
No, it's a thing. Pretend.
You know what, Norm? You're a dead man.
you talk to him then.
You know what, Barbara? You know what you said about rage and work?
Give this man a plate of soup and tell him to shut up.
Norm,
all right then. Let's see.
So, yeah, in their interview, he explains his time on The View when a legitimate producer gave him a phone and said, hey, this is going to ring, and say it's your agent, and they were supposed to do a gag. And he said, I didn't want to do that. So nobody else would do that on live TV.
Not to mention that OJ comment, too. Football murder kind of go.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Let me add some context there. The conversation that they were discussing about earlier that's what it was referring to, the manslaughter. That wasn't an OJ joke.
Okay. Well, it could have been.
This was purely specifically about that cell phone because this was, like I said, November 16th, 2000. Anybody remembers there was a huge problem in Florida with the dimpled Chads, right? So they started off talking about politics, and he was a George W. Bush guy, and they were all Clinton people. So there was already tension there. So that's why they were just trying to move on. It was like, next question, right? But he had said that after that moment, and that when it went to commercial, Barbara Walters had told him he's on thin ice, like off air, like seriously, like, hey, you're on thin. Like he was, because at the time he was on there promoting Norm, which was being aired Friday nights on ABC, right? And this was on the ABC network. That one of the producers, he just completely said, "No, I'm gonna do that." And then what happened to Norm? Like the show, like it didn't last very long. Now did it?
Right.
Probably had something to do with it. But reading that moment in the magazine, I wanted to see the clip, and it's a beautiful clip. Just because, as you saw or as you heard, if you are listening to the audio version, check out the YouTube Flesh Wound Farce on YouTube. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude this week's episode in the review of Dirty Work. Next week, we'll be back with the Naked Gun episode. And then after that, will be another movie and another movie after that. So please come back and see what it is. But most definitely next week, for sure, it is going to be the Naked Gun. No jokes this time. Well, I mean, there will be jokes because it's the Naked Gun. It's naturally about, you know what I mean. Greg and Todd, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we head out?
Oh, no.
I'm sure on behalf of all of us, Norm, it's weird. We'd all like want to say rest in peace, but he would kind of have the response of like, whatever. Like,
what else am I going to do?
I'm dead. Like, oh, darn. If you don't wish me rest in peace, it's really going to hurt.
Hey, Ozzy.
Yes.
You're on thin ice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Flesh and producer Todd, world famous juggler Greg, and I'm Ozzy V, and we'll see you next week right here on Flesh Wound Farce.